Follow me at the Podwaggon and Mr. E, the NQT. I am here with my co-host, the man of the hour, the man of the power, the bald man himself, Mr. James Earls. James, how are you, mate?
All right. Hello, everybody, peeps. I hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday afternoon, this special live edition of the Podwaggon. We're live on Facebook and maybe a couple of hours. This is via the UKPW stream. And there's a reason for this, and it will all come true in a second. But this is going to be a special interview with Alex, Dow Jones, Gilbert, UKPW champion / co-owner of UKPW, and a review of NWA. What was it? NWA Fight for the Attack. Back to the Attack. I'm thinking the Beast Wars for some reason. So with that said, Charlie, would you please introduce our guest?
Ladies and gentlemen, our second guest on the podcast since the beginning, our current UKPW heavyweight champion and the current UKPW promoter, Mr.
Oh,
We've lost
there
it.
we go. We'll swap. We'll tag in.
Tag, it's Mr. Dow Jones. Charlie's back.
What? What happened? Thank you and good night.
He's here now. Just whilst he's in the room.
That was worth it. Thank you for that introduction. I think it timed out almost perfectly.
Oh, we're live, pal. We're live.
We're alive, pal.
Right. Fantastic. Okay. I'm just going to do some quick fire questions. Well, I say quick fire questions. Some questions with Alex. Ask him a few details about himself, and then we'll get to the review.
Sounds
like a plan.
Sounds good. So, Alex, Dow Jones, as you're known everywhere else. A bit about yourself. I'm not going to do the usual, what's your first wrestling memory, yada, yada, yada. Where did you learn to wrestle?
I feel like that's a loaded question because it's the definition of when you've actually learned to wrestle.
Oh, this is fine. It's perfectly fine because if anybody who knows Alex on a personal level has seen his earlier footage, he was. I don't want to say it.
You can say it. It's fine.
Alex was a backyarder.
Damn straight.
Alex was a backyarder. Fire tables and everything, as I've just recently seen.
Yeah. So we'll come to that. So the irony was, I actually did training first, then did that, then did more stuff.
Okay.
So I actually did do my first, first foray into into wrestling was the NWA Hammerlock.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first proper. Did a few training sessions there. It was all good. The problem that I had was that my mum discovered that I was doing that and didn't like that. So what essentially happened was I had to stop going there. And then, as I like to think of it, as it's come into handy in my adult life, is always finding a loophole and be like, so Mum, do you mind if I go out and see my friends? Yes. Seeing my friends in a park. Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay.
Lost Charlie again. Keep going.
So essentially that's where it sort of started, was like, okay, I can't go to the wrestling training, but let me do something instead that's still A, fun, but B, selfish. I thought I'm still going to get to practice moves. I get to do stuff. So it's me and a chap called Joey. Some people might know him as Joey Nails or The Nail. We both went to Hammerlock. Here's Charlie again. There he is.
Is it me? Sorry.
Yeah, you might have to hardwire in, Charlie, if you've got an Ethicon cable floating around.
Yeah, no such luck. Sorry.
Well, tell the other off to get offline.
Yeah, the show must go on.
Show must go on.
Yeah, so you and Joey were at the NWA Hammerlock. Now, was that the old NWA Hammerlock, where it looked like an aircraft hangar with the matted area in the ring?
Yeah, right.
I went to one of their training sessions.
Yeah, I'll always remember. we actually accidentally turned up at one of their weekend camp things.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't know that they were doing a weekend camp. We were like, oh, they're doing, because we went a number of different locations. There was one in Sittingbourne, there was one in Ashford, there was one in there was a third one. Can't think what the third one was now.
Is it
But we
Chatham?
went to one of them. Chatham, that was the other one. Yes, it was top of the hill. And we would go in and out, fine. So we did do that, and me and Joey were in the same school. So what tended to happen now, if Joey's watching, he might be at some point, but he might hear the recording. He's going to get a little bit offended by what I'm about to say, because the teachers in our school were absolutely flummoxed. It's the only word I can use. That me and Joey were friends. They couldn't. They were like, Alex, nice, does everything he says. Joey doesn't. that's the polite way of saying it. So what would frustrate the teachers is that we were very good friends. And every break, every lunch, at least I remember year 9 in particular. There was a certain section in the field where me and Joey would just be like, right, let's practice a Hurricane Rana. Here we go, right. Let's see if we can do a satellite version. Okay, fine. And I would buy all the ECW VHS tapes. Yeah, so we would buy that stuff and then basically go, oh my God, we want to be RVD Jerry Lynn. Oh my God, let's try and do everything. So that's where that started. And then I know I've told the story a few times, so I'll fast forward a bit. So we did the backyarding stuff. It was quite fun. I'm sure we'll come back to some of those later. But then when I turned 18, I had a bit of an agreement with my mum, which was, look, I do want to do this. And I'm either going to have to disobey you or we can come up with a bit of a deal here. So the deal that we struck was get your degree, get your university degree, and then do whatever. So it's like, that's a fair agreement. And then with a bit of negotiation, I was able, and so this is what I think is my real answer to your question, is I went to the FWA Academy in Portsmouth for a solid week. And it was a solid week. Mark Sloan was the main trainer. Very, very good and very militant, and really respect that. There's one thing I'll always remember from him is he to train everyone how to learn to hit the buckles. He was like, I want you to hit them as hard as possible, so hard that it moves the ring. Anyone that can move the ring, and I think he'd left like a foot, I think it was, or something, a certain distance. He left a little marker and said, if anyone can get the ring past this marker by the end of the training camp, I'll give you all your money back. And I was like, I want to get my money back. So it's why so to come back to the wrestling question. I mean, like the famous example is Drew McIntyre was on the course. There's a few other people, Marky B, who's done some great stuff around the world. There's some great...
I may interject here. You're the only person I know that has trained with a two-time WWE champion.
Yeah, and he was not even just head and shoulders above everyone. I remember so I was 18 when I went. And he would have been, I think, around the same age. And I just remember looking, like when he first walked in the room, I was like, oh, this guy looks fun. This guy's good. And then the first thing we had to do was like a drill. And it was to understand who knew what, really. And I learned very quickly I didn't know enough. But he knew everything. So he could do the vertical leapfrog, no issue. Drop down, cool, hip to all this, do everything perfectly. And I remember just sitting back going, I might go home. Because if he's that good already, why am I here? In a weird... Anyway, yeah, so FWA was fun. Then did my degree. So did that, got that. So I did no wrestling for 3 years. And in a weird way, I think my mum's thinking was he'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
But my mum also said that when I was 5 and 7 and 11 and 14, and now at the age of 33, she still says it. So maybe a bit delusional. But there was a local group called Riot Act Wrestling. So sort of broke in with those guys, did training there. Again, like Joey was there, and obviously met some people through there. from there, then it became I was able to get on shows, places like NWA Hammerlock. I was very lucky to be able to do some things with the AMP group up in Coventry. So I got to train with people like Pete Dunne, and sort of like that caliber. Zack Sabre was another good example. So I've mixed with these people. I don't like to talk about it too much to people because it's that oh look, you dropped something. Oh, it's another name. Oh, okay.
Another name drop. Yeah.
But you asked.
Yeah.
And then to fast forward to finish the answer. So really learning to wrestle was the FWA. That was a great solid base. And then in 2000, I'm gonna say 2015. I again, like UKPW was starting to pick up some traction, and they were getting good workers in. And I was looking around, going, I need to up my game here because I'm not good enough. So then as weird as it sounds, or as self-deprecating as it sounds, I went to the Progress Wrestling School.
Yeah.
But specifically, I went on their beginners course.
Yeah.
Because you learn bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, right, I'm going to try and unlearn those and learn another way. And it was arguably the best decision I'd ever made.
Yeah.
And then I like to think there's an upward trajectory from doing that course and then having better matches.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong going back and learning again. And bad habits, everybody picks them up in any line of work. I learned that when I got my forklift license. The instructor said, "This is how you have to do it." He said, "But you will pick up bad habits and find shortcuts to do things." So you're at UKPW.
Yes.
It's the main process as it goes. Hello, Stuart Patrick, who's watching. I'm not going to have a rant on this, Stuart. That comes on the Podwaggon later as to why I don't like Bray Wyatt.
AEW.
I haven't watched this week's AEW yet. I don't intend to either.
Yet. Emphasise the word yet.
Yeah, because it's bound to have been stuff. Apparently, there's a promo worth watching on there or something. I don't know. But you started FWA Portsmouth. Charlie and I started at FWA South London. So
yes,
there's a tenuous link.
Two very different schools.
Yeah.
Very different calibers.
I'm annoyed because I remember seeing the adverts for the FWA South London, and I remember being in my sick form going, if only I drove, if only I could get there. So there's this weird tangent where I often think, oh, if only I just like got the guts to get on a train on my own and just go there. Wonder how different life would have been.
I mean, FWA South London, it started out great and then it went to shits.
It was
yeah.
I mean, like Dan Adams just popped up.
Yeah,
the shack. The shack.
Started training. We started training. Is it Croydon Selsdon Girls' School? Was it or Croydon Girls' School?
Croydon High School for girls. Yeah.
Croydon High School for girls, and had a lovely gym and a big upstairs. You could learn stuff, and then the guy who was sort of funding it decided to find a different venue, which was no bigger than my living room. It was a lockup. It was a tiny little lockup, and it had judo mats in it and a 12-foot boxing ring. And
that is the only reason why he changed venues, training facilities, was because he could get a 12-foot kickboxing ring, permanently without having to deassemble it every day.
Yeah, erect it every week. And it. We learned how. Well, the thing was, because it's the confined space, we learned how to wrestle and to work in our environment and a lot of placing and stuff like that. But it was the absolute shit.
But James, let's be honest. When the judo mats on the outside are softer than the ring,
that's also true. Oh God, do you remember when I used to dive over the top rope and land on that?
But I mean,
I used to dive over the top rope and land on these judo mats. It was crazy.
I mean, to chime in a weird way, and I look back now, learning to wrestle in a solid ring is a good thing.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
A lot of these kids that I say kids, I'm 40 in a few weeks. These kids that are coming through now have got the luxury of these lovely wrestling rings to learn how to fall. We had boxing rings with no give, with about that much padding, really that much padding on it to take the impact.
You're being generous there.
All right, a little bit generous. But anyway, this is about you, not about us. But I just had to get it out there.
Good chat.
So let's say you're at UKPW. You've been there a few years now as a talent, more so.
Yes.
How did you make that connection at UKPW? How did you your foot in the door, as they say?
So as we know, Anton Green was the promoter. He was the one that did all the organising, and I'd first met Anton at one of these Riot Act wrestling shows in Chatham, in the infamous White Road. As people who live in Medway will know what I'm talking about. I've just offended about 500 people, so I apologise now. But sorry, yeah. So met Anton. I was like, I like this guy, and we just got friendly, just chatting away, all that kind of good stuff. And then he essentially became like the lead booker of this thing called RNV.
Yeah, I was there, former champion.
Yeah,
Charlie
and
wrestled there too.
where I met you for the first time. And he just needed more bodies. He wanted a hybrid of, like good wrestling and like the character stuff.
Yeah.
So what happened there was that's where I sort of learned, okay, right, I don't want to say I got lazy, but I got more of a reaction going, yeah, than doing a move.
Do you know why? Because you were the only one doing it.
Right, apparently so.
Yeah.
So yeah, did RNV, and then Anton. I'll vividly remember this. I remember Anton telling me at Falconwood, going, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this thing called UKPW. I'd love you to come along. Would you mind?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'll do whatever you like." And then just casually, he mentioned that the second show was going to be at Medway Park. And for context, for anyone watching, Medway Park is one of the larger venues in the Medway Towns, which is where I'm from. And it's actually, I was about to say it's the first place I ever saw wrestling. It was the second place I saw it. The first one was the Royal Albert Hall with the WWF. Go me, I was a spoiled child.
Oh yeah, you.
My first wrestling show was Capital Carnage.
There you go. Amazing. Yeah. And yeah, sorry. So the Black Lion, as it formerly was known, I had this aura around it where I was like, I wanna do a wrestling show there. I want to go in there. And so when Anton told me that it was going to be me and Joey at Medway Park, I could literally have stopped that day. I'd achieved everything I expected to achieve. I was like, oh my God, me and Joey, the people that were made fun of in school for doing wrestling, we're going to have a paying audience watch us do this match. Oh, heaven. I was so happy. And I think that's why I had such a deep bond with UKPW, because Anton went, I'm going to give you a chance. And not many promoters had. Yeah. I think I was that annoying guy on the side that I've now learned, and I say this tongue in cheek, but I now understand why promoters get annoyed by excited people, because it's fine to show it enthusiasm, but stop telling them how to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine, I get it. You want to be on the show, but calm down. So I think I'd done that with a lot of promoters, and then Anton had gone, okay, I use the phrase turn into the skid. Okay, you want to do all these amazing things, let's go for it. Yeah. And then it just went from there, really.
Oh, fantastic. Charlie, you got any questions at the moment, or are you just happy to sit there and nod?
Well, I mean, I am, but I have got some questions. We've got Alex Gilbert.
Hello.
Yeah.
We've got Dow Jones.
Damn straight.
Damn straight. Just how close and how similar are those two people?
Oh, it's so funny. I love this question. That's the best way to word that question, because I normally get, where did the character come from? Slightly different, because the character was sort of developed in 2009 when bankers were the enemy, because there was the financial crash. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if like that basically we need a new $1 million man? That was essentially it. And because of the kind of shows I was on, you could really pantomime it up. So, and also I already had suits, I already had a lot of the gear, so I could sort of get away with not having the professional gear. I look back now and regret that decision, but at least I could get away with it. So it's sort of out of necessity. But the blurring of the lines, this is a hot topic in my own mind. I all the time have this debate because I'm a big fan, and I know Mr. Earls is as well, of Jim Cornette. And one of his famous quotes, now I was very lucky to meet Jim Cornette, and I actually spoke to him about this very topic. And name drop. For the record, am I allowed to keep doing that, or should I stop doing that?
No, go ahead.
You got to take a shot for every time you do.
Hey, one of our viewers out there, Stuart Patrick, met Jim Cornette at the same thing, and Stuart's a bodybuilder, and Jim Cornette saw him and asked him if he was on the card. Now, Stuart trained as a wrestler years ago, but he was very flattered by that. But yeah, feel free to drop as many names as you like.
Oh, okay, cool. I've got loads. And because I'm just a sidebar. Sorry, Charlie. Just a sidebar.
No.
I'm not very competitive, but the only thing I probably am competitive about, and I don't really want to admit this on a live stream, is how much of a goddamn wrestling fan I am. Like I will argue that with anyone. And this has been the problem with the merging of the character, because there's been this stigma, I feel, in wrestling in general, but particularly in British wrestling, that you're a fan, you should be in the audience.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know, like, and it's been very difficult because I think you can separate the two. Like, you can be a fan, but you can take those, I'll use the phrase fan goggles, and put them onto your business head and go, right, what would people want to see? Oh, we've lost Charlie.
Don't be back again. Keep going.
We'll keep going. Yeah, sorry. So to come back to Charlie's question of the merging of the two, at first, I was just trying to create a character that would get instant boos.
Yeah.
So in the news, bankers are getting booed. Oh, sorry, people don't like bankers. I'll be a banker, instant heat, easy. But ironically, and I don't think I've actually said this publicly, but when I started being Dow Jones, I was actually out of work. I had no job.
Oh.
I had nothing. And it was so funny that I was playing a person with money when I really had none.
Yeah.
And then what's funny, a friend of mine said this to me the other day, that went, "You've become Dow Jones." And I was like, what are you saying? And then literally, if we just, for those of you watching the live stream now, they're like, look at the background. You're just buying random stuff for the sake of it. Okay, fine. But anyway, sorry, come back to the point. So as time went on, and going back to the Jim Cornette point, be yourself, but with the volume turned up.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
And I thought, okay. So as time went on, obviously I was still Dow Jones, whatever. And then I thought, I'm just going to be, and so I never got to fully do it. I still got, obviously, people can criticize and I'll take the feedback on. But one thing I wanted to try and do a little bit more of, if UKPW was like a weekly television, I would have definitely been able to execute it. But I essentially wanted to be the wrestling fan with the money. And
so Cornette, but wrestling.
Yeah, and really annoy people because, like, as I'm sure we'll talk about, I love going to all these meet and greet events. And a friend of mine said, I hate that you can get the VIP tickets. And I thought about it going, yeah, I bet that does annoy you. Yes, you're right. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny if Dow Jones became this like super wrestling fan who can do all this cool stuff, i.e. the custom belt, wearing tassels, like, because it's ridiculous things like wrestling fans go, oh, it's a bit tacky. But let's be honest, every single person at a show wants to wear my jacket.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, let's go down that route. So so to come back to your question, Charlie, first 5 years of the Dow Jones character, it's just a banker, boo, don't like him, he's a rich guy. And then I realized, no, I'm just going to be myself, but obnoxiously myself. And then now it is essentially just Alex Gilbert in a ring, essentially. Which is a bad trait on me, really. I've just realised saying that out loud how bad that actually is.
All it is, whenever I do anything, it's just James Earls, either under a mask or it's James Earls in a different coloured pair of tights. Because,
but you are the only person I know, and I knew that this was going to come up, where Alex just said, it's me with the volume turned up. Earls is the only person I know who turns the volume down.
It's funny you say that, Charlie, because I forget what show it was, James. It wasn't the one that we did the wrap up on, but there was a UKPW show where we did commentary, and I remember, I don't actually think I told you, but I remember saying to Martin, going, he is a brilliant talker, he being James Earls, going, how is he not like that all of the time? I remember getting frustrated, going, the guy that was on commentary is so good. I want to see that guy in the ring.
Yeah. I kind of built a rod from my own back on that sort of stuff, though. You know, I don't know, because I think places I've worked, I've always sort of been moved to the top and stuff like that. Hey, Earl Hoskins, referee. Good to see you. I was going to say, doing the announcing and stuff like that. I'm dyslexic and things like that. So to help me get over some of that, particularly speaking in public, I went to a Catholic school. My mum would encourage me to get up and do the readings in church.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would have to get up and do some of the readings and some of the prayers and stuff like that. So that's helped me get over a lot of my fear of open like spaces and speaking and stuff like that. I was never a preacher or anything, but you know, I'd have to get up and do a few sort of prayers before communion and stuff like that. So I always speak from the diaphragm, and then a lot of people out there need to learn that as well when they're cutting a promo, from the diaphragm, not from the chest. Take big breath and get it out. So yeah, I don't mind talking. I originally wanted to be a manager.
Interesting.
Because I was small. I was a small, skinny lad, and I thought, and at the time when I started training, it was all the meatheads. It wasn't about athleticism; it was about the meatheads. Yeah, you know, supplements and stuff like that. So I was like, sure, I'll go out and be a manager. I'll do that. But my trainer, Tony Scarlo, said, look, you're wasting your money learning to wrestle if you only want to become a manager. He said, you're a pretty good wrestler. Why don't you just stick to that? So I stuck to wrestling. And yeah, the only time I get to speak on a mic every now and again is when I'm a heel in certain places. I just watched an old UKPW match back the other day, actually. Myself and Ian versus James Lockron and what was he calling himself at the time? Oh, God, but he's Daz Morrison. And I got to cut.
Yes.
I got to cut a promo beforehand, but before I got the mic, Martin was in the ring and he went, stop giving everybody the microphone. Because everyone had cut a promo on this show. And I just Martin, I said, look, I've been told by the promoter that I am to cut a promo. I said, I'm not Pete Stannenforth. I'm not going to go on for an hour. So I got out there, cut the promo, got it over and done with. But I got heat for it. So you go like that because I mentioned somebody's name. I will name drop the people that people aren't speaking about. So yeah, no, I don't. I enjoy doing commentary. I enjoy doing ring announcing. I enjoy wrestling. I enjoy being part of the show and being that big character. So that's me. That's me. Glenn Shay's the voice. Yeah, I used to be the voice. I look nothing like Jesse J. Nothing like Jesse J. So. More about Alex.
I just want to make it clear before we go on, this interview has nothing to do with UKPW or any rights whatsoever. This is strictly the Podwaggon.
These are not UKPW.
No rights associated with UK.
That's what I was going to say. How comes you're no longer introduced as Nigel Farage's favourite wrestler?
Interesting. I remember not even saying like, yeah, that's what I want it to be. Just someone just said that, and I was like, that's funny.
Yeah.
The problem I have as well, and this is something I've learned in 2020, is I call it that I'm right or wrong, but I've learned that I'm wrong. I used to believe that if it's a joke, it's allowed. Do you know what I mean? Like if the intended purpose of the joke was to be funny, that's fine. If you're then offended by it, educate the person as to why you're offended.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how I think that process. So
context is key. Context is key.
Yeah, exactly. And so coming back to like these things, like I think it's funny, and the problem I have is that I absolutely love comedy. So anytime anything can be funny, that's what I'm doing. That's funny. Let's do that. But Alex, you're in the middle of a really serious promo, and you need to. No, that's a joke. I've got to go for it.
Because just a quick tangent on BHW, we had a battle royal once, and it was James Mason doing the ring, and he had all the All Stars gear with him. And what comes with all the All Stars gig? Flags.
Yep.
Thanks.
And he had the Union flag, he had the George Cross, the Scottish, but he also had some Trump flags. And you're going like that. And I said, all the hills there went, take that, and none of them would take a Donald Trump flag. And I was going, what are you doing? Do you want the heat you're going to get if you go out waving that? Go out and wave that thing. Get heat.
This is the thing. Yeah. And this is what's bugging me now. And I'm kind of, I don't know how to phrase this without, I mean, I might paint myself into a corner here. But again, the job of the wrestler is to generate heat. And I appreciate there's lots of schools of thought on this. But then if we just stick with, and I'm going to use the brush of cheap heat. I know some people agree with it, some people don't. But if we go down the route of cheap heat, people say something that people don't like, they then boo that person.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I condone saying absolutely outrageous things, obviously not in a public forum. However, when people do say something that you don't agree with, or something that you don't like, is that, sorry to bring up the phrase, cancel culture. This is what worries me about pro wrestling in the modern era. I don't know if we're ever really going to get people to be really hated anymore.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I was just listening to a thing about, because obviously the network in the States is on the Peacock network, and they are censoring a lot of stuff out of it. And you have to understand, context is key. Mm-hmm. And everybody has to remember what the context is. You can take a 5-second clip of something, but unless you've got the 10 seconds beforehand, you're only going to see that, and that's where you're going to create your opinion on certain things. So, and like you say, this is the problem with wrestling. It's going to get hard. The only way people are going to get booed now is if you're a really good guy.
Yeah,
it's the only way you're going to get booed.
Yeah, it's almost an ironic boo. Like, boo, you're so good. It's so boring.
Yeah.
The scene
be a Christian evangelist. Yeah, be a Christian evangelist. That'll get you some heat. Preach the good word. So yourself, Jack Fenton, and Martin Reed, as I understand, have taken over control of UKPW.
Bingo.
Okay. So a quick tidbit: when the whole UKPW thing was up in the air, we did BHW show, Wrestle Clash one, and we had a rumble. And before I was to go out, Alex was going out, and I hadn't had a chance to talk to anybody that day because I was busy setting up, and Ian was giving the finishes and stuff like that. And I happened to be there with Alex, and I said, "So, Alex, what's going on with UKPW? You thinking about taking over?" And Alex was about to go, "Yeah, I'm thinking about it. What do you reckon?" And then the countdown started because Alex was out next, and he had to stop mid-conversation. Went, "I've got to go." So
I love the idea of getting someone in a headlock and then continuing the story. We're going to do this.
Yes. So the three of you come together to take this off of Anton's plate, basically. Yes, as I understand.
Yeah. The long story short is there was an opportunity. This is all before the pandemic. Let's keep that in mind. So the pandemic was not a thing at this point, and essentially, it was mentioned in passing. That's probably the best way to phrase it. That I might not be able to commit. This is Anton. I might not be able to commit as much time. So then I sort of threw it out, going, just asking. And then if we fast forward that story, we're now a year and a month ahead, and you could argue it's the worst investment of all time. I'm joking. Basically Anton was like, look, I'm not going to be able to really commit what I'd like to do. 2020, if we look at 2019 UKPW content and even story, hopefully I don't offend. I mean, Anton was still doing stuff. Let me be clear. Yeah. And that man was stretched. He had so many things going on in all aspects. And so let's say he had only 10% of time for UKPW. He maximized that 10%. And then me, Martin, Jack, and obviously a few other people would always help out wherever possible.
Yeah.
I always obviously treated it like my home promotion. it usually did things in my area, so it just made sense. So then essentially it was like, I don't like the idea of UKPW dying, because if I put my super selfish hat on for a second, that's my whole tape library gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my whole thing's gone now. And I get to work at other promotions, but my best stuff from a character point of view has always been UKPW. And what worried me was, now that promotion's gone, or could go, or at least be on a hiatus of some kind. No, let's take over. I've already got all the footage. It's all on, I'm not going to lie, it's on this laptop I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
I've got all these countless hard drives. And there was always, and again, I hope I don't offend Anton when I say this, but there's only so much one man can do. But then there's also only so much a volunteer should do. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'd be like, yeah, I can help promote, but the more I help promote, I'm making you money. I'm not necessarily going to be getting it. If I sell an extra 100 tickets, I still get paid the same within reason.
Yeah.
And so I would help. Same with like all the video production. I think people that like the UKPW product, filming wise, most of it's mine. That I've set up a camera, I've edited it. Here you go. And so when I was speaking to Jack in particular about this, going, if we take this, imagine what we can do when it's us. Like, it's our money in the pot. It's us doing things. Obviously, had the conversation with Martin as well, because we're always on the road together. Martin, I owe probably £1,000 to Martin in petrol. You know what I mean? Like, he drove everywhere, and he was very polite to never go, cough up.
Yeah. Oh, happy birthday, by the way, Martin. If I could see your face, I'd prefer face to face than just Facebook messaging. I find that incredibly rude. But happy birthday.
So essentially we did the offer, we took it over, and then it's partially why one of the first things we had to do was change the logo, because I wanted a stamp to sort of go, that's the old stuff, this is going to be the new stuff. And we were hoping to do a show in May.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and I was really hopeful for that, because we had ideas. Now, again, looking back, I don't know, again, pandemic aside, I don't know if that show would have been a good idea, because actually there was a lot of things that we didn't take into consideration at the time. So I don't want to say I'm sort of glad, but I'm sort of glad now that we've had this year reset.
Yeah.
Now we can really kick off with a bang, which we will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anticipation.
Yeah.
That's right. Always going to be working.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be the smartest worker in the room. So people, Dal, you should, from Kieran Corrupt, Dal, you should ask him about the BHW production meetings. Production meetings consist of 4 guys sitting in my living room and going, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. That is it. That's BHW production.
There's nothing else that happens at all.
Side note, like I like the BHW, like the look of it is great. And then I mean, when we did the WhatCon event, like the potential,
the potential there would have, then that's one of the reasons why I had my blow up.
Oh, I mean,
because of the sheer stress I was going through that day myself. And
I must dig out that footage, because I did film it.
I know you did. I've seen it in the internal page. I've seen it.
Oh, I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's in there. I will say, it was a March. It was a day in March, and the sun. I was out in the sun all day long. It was Sunday, because the next day I had heat stroke, because the heat was coming off me. The next day I felt rough. But a mixture of sun, stress, and someone going into business for themselves didn't help. It did not help the situation whatsoever. This person, I've stuck a pin in it now. We've moved on. We're better people for it. So many blessings.
Yeah, I mean, to chime in 2 seconds while we're on the call, I don't really blame you. Really, I mean, don't get me wrong. This comes back to the cancel culture kind of thing.
Yeah,
is like, you use the right word there. So something, again, I've learned is the phrase intention. So you could defend the person by saying they didn't intend on your reaction.
No.
Like that's I think that's a fair comment.
Genuinely didn't. No,
right. But at the same time, they should be in a position to understand that they should not have been doing that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
I don't really blame you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kieran Crut asks, James, tell him, how did we finish the match at WhatCon?
This is where this is where Kieran says, "Oh, you Jeff Hardy'd me." No, I Jeff Jarrett'd him. Hulk Hogan bashing the beat. I climbed back in the ring, and like we've both got our heads down, and he's going, "Are you all right?" I went, "No, I'm not happy." He went, "Should we go for the finish?" I went, "Yeah, go for the finish. Kick me in the gut, finish me." Did it 1, 2, 3, and I just rolled out the ring, stood up, and walked away because I was steaming. I was.
But what made it even funnier?
I've never seen me that angry.
But what made it even funnier was that you had Damien, aka Brett Meadows, sitting in the front row. What happened there? Is that it?
In full makeup. It was in full makeup as well.
Yeah. Brilliant. And Alicia's in the front row going, boo, boo. And I had to go up to Alicia and go, no.
No.
I mean, to be fair to the people that weren't there and have no idea what we're talking about, if you were, and what I like about this, sorry, tangent. What I like about this moment, though, is that out of context, you have no concept of who anyone is. Imagine it's the first time you're ever watching pro wrestling.
Yeah.
There was a dude that was shouting at you, and you went, "I've had enough of this," and you pissed him off. So
It's
for anyone
true.
that's like, yeah, like actually, like right now, if we're going to use the phrases, we're breaking all the kind of kayfabe now.
Yeah,
But in that moment there, no, nothing was more real than that.
Yeah.
It was the comedic run that didn't help situation where said person tried to comedically run away, and I explicitly said I was fucking serious. And then they moved very quickly. Like I say,
maybe the F-bomb was the bad bit. Maybe
there was a few F-bombs when my wife shouted out, "There's children!"
Yeah.
I don't effing care.
I don't care. I don't care.
No, I think it was more F the children.
I never said that. So like we were saying, back to down. This isn't about me. This is not.
I love chatting to you guys. Sorry,
I know.
No.
It's
what we do best.
About you. Yeah. So where was I? So you're taking over the running of UKPW, getting it back going. Some launches of new talent, some roster reveals, and some people in the Twitter sphere were digging out companies for announcing that they were boosting their rosters. Did you see any of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the full flack for it. The logic was we started doing it on the 1st of January and then posted something every day.
Yeah.
For
I popped when I got announced. I was like, "Oh, I made roster."
I made the roster. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that if we ignore the obvious potential complaint in just a sec, but at the end of the day, everyone's independent contractors. I get the idea that they're going like, well, what's the point? But then I would argue, already you sound miserable. That's the first joke.
Yeah.
And also, so let me use the Simon Miller example. So Simon Miller's got a bit of a name value. Of course, if we put the selfish marketing hat on, of course I want to mention that he's going to be in our shows because I want people to go, they are doing something.
Yeah.
So the idea of the announcements were to go, oh, they're ready to go. When it's safe to do it, they are ready to go. Yeah. Because if we've done nothing, and this includes the policies, the safeguarding stuff, if we kept completely silent, it's that new thing, like silence by doing nothing, you're just as much part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of, now hopefully this doesn't get clipped out of context. I'm a big fan. There's a big setup.
But the thing is, you've got all the footage for this. So if someone clips it out of context, you can go, well, this is the actual thing.
It's the actual clip.
So if you get CNN, you can actually come out with the real.
That's true. I'm a big fan of, if we talk mental health for a second, I'm a big advocate for all mental health charities. And when we were coming into the end of 2020, people weren't in good places. They really weren't. And what I wanted to do. Now, again, it goes back to the intention thing as well. The intention is to remind people, look, it's a new year. We have a chance to get things back together again. So what I'm going to do, and now this is for anyone that's interested in business, anyone that's interested in HR, this is a little bit boring, but I'm going to mention it. When you start, I don't want to say the word calling people out, but when you start announcing people, they have to be ready now.
Yeah.
They can't be like, well, I'm not actually. So like, if I pick on you, James, by announcing you, you're like, oh, I better be in shape.
Yeah.
Oh, I better be ready, because if they hadn't actually said that, I'm not accountable because no one's actually asked me to join. So there was an element of, no, I want people to know that we're doing something. I've still got surprises. That's what's really fun as well. But let's flip it around back to the complaints. I appreciate the complaints because everyone can always criticize. And I think of feedback as a bit of a gift. You either choose to take it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of feedback because then you've got to look at what they're saying. Like, okay, why are you moaning? Oh, okay. So there was one comment that I did see, which I thought actually valid point. Oh, I can't believe that you're making these announcements because actually no one's signed to anything. I'm not saying they are.
No.
I'm not saying that they're exclusive people to UKPW. Of course not.
No,
I'm just saying this person's going to, hopefully, if available, will be with us. And the second thing, people going, I can't believe this wasn't just us. This was other promotions as well. They need to get their safeguarding in place. And I was a bit like, we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was very confident, like, no, I'm going to keep going because we have got these things in place. And we've actually got another thing coming from an external body to make sure that we're hitting as many things as possible. It's always very difficult. The other thing as well is I also wonder how many people, I say this tongue in cheek, have had a real job because...
Well, I will back you up on that one, Alex. In the wrestling world, you and I and Charlie have been in real working environments where a lot of these people have had only sort of part-time jobs here and there. They've never been in the real world. So yeah, sorry.
And yeah, no. So like, let's use a DBS check as an example.
Yeah.
So you DBS check people to make sure that there's nothing ridiculous on their file. So if you're this goes for wrestling and this goes for the real world industry, you do that check, great, come on board. But of course, there are things that don't come up on the DBS check.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. But this is my key takeaway. If anyone could take anything away from this interview, so thank you for having me on. I'd rather have something than nothing.
Yeah.
And I will say that as harshly as I can. I would rather have some measures in place than absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
Sorry to get really passionate about that. But
no, that's perfectly fine. This is what I want. This is what I want. I told you,
Yeah.
we're not being cookie cutter here. This is what I want. This is real people's emotions and what they're feeling. So UKPW coming back hopefully by the end of this year, the same as BHW. But you've got now a new USP. People that don't understand USP need to watch The Apprentice more often. Unique selling point. You're starting a women's division or a ladies division.
Yes. So if thank you for bringing up this question because I am quite, I don't want to say the word passionate about this, but I'm quite excited by this as well.
New.
So one of my, sorry?
It's new. It's new for
It's
UK.
new, yeah, it's new. Ooh, shiny thing.
Mm.
But no, in all honesty, so again, I appreciate, I know we keep alluding to it, but we had the speaking out thing and there were some horrific stories there, of course. So keep that in mind. But the women's division thing was already planned prior to these things.
Yes.
And I apologize if it sounds like I'm going to take a bit of a high horse here, but I know I've mentioned this in another interview, but I've got another opportunity to say it now. But we actually approached another all-female company and said, hi, so if I use me as the example, I am not qualified to talk about women's wrestling because I am not either of those things.
Yeah.
So what I would love to do, I appreciate this is not normal and people don't normally do this, but how about your roster with your policies and procedures and we give you the platform?
Yeah.
So hypothetically, instead of booking the female wrestlers ourselves, we book them to book their match on our show, if that makes sense.
Like a joint promotion sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think should come back. There should be something like that.
Yeah, and and so my mission statement. So again, to use sort of businessy kind of terms. Side note: this is what I mean, Charlie, by my life has merged. That I have sort of I've become what I despise. Um, so using a mission statement, what are my values? What is it that I want out of this company? Well, firstly, I want a place where people are proud to do their hobby, their craft, their whatever word you want to use. I want a place where they can come and go, I'm glad I went there. Secondly, I want a place where I can help, even if it's a tiny stone, a stepping stone. I like the idea of being a stopgap for someone to go to something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So with video production, all this kind of stuff, if I can make someone, so if I use Crowley as an example, Crowley does so many good things, but he does it on his own.
Yeah.
So imagine what he could do if there was a team of people making him look good. Do you know what I mean? Like imagine then all of a sudden he'll be the next name announced on whatever. That's the second sort of mission of mine. But if we stick with the women's division, UKPW traditionally didn't have female wrestlers. And there was no like official reason for that. It was just circumstance, people who they knew, the way the shows were booked, fine. So when taking over, if we, as you rightfully say, USP, where's there a gap? There's a massive gap there because A, there isn't really a roster. And two, if I go back to my mission statement of creating opportunities and giving a platform for people, especially with then if we go back to the speaking out thing, there are promotions that don't exist now. So if you think of it purely on a business level, so appreciate that there's way more to it than just numbers. But if we just for now stick on the numbers, there's now 20, 25 less places for women to do their craft.
Yes.
So I need to step up so that there's at least somewhere to make up for it. So we had this in the pipeline anyway. Obviously, all that happened. And then what we've been doing is through networking, through talking with people and recommendations, we've got a small women's roster, which nearer the time of the shows, I'm sure will grow. If I had a gun to my head, the ultimate goal would be to do like a 50-50 kind of thing. Like actually gender isn't even a thing, really. But the idea of the women's title was, at least for the short term, if we talk storyline for a second, there's something to aim for.
Yes.
So imagine I just went, we got a women's roster, and then there was no title. Well, that instantly means that's less.
Mm-hmm.
No, I need sorry to use horrible words. I need a prop.
Yes.
So I went all in. Pardon the all elite wrestling pun. Sorry, but I went all in on the belt, and we're going to be revealing the belt. Funny enough, this coming Friday. To the general public for the general release. And the idea is I want people to go, again, it's that moment of like, oh, they are actually serious. They are.
Yeah.
So what's nice, and I think, James, you know this behind closed doors, is I've been really trying to get as many people involved.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, it'll be fun to be a dictator. We're doing that, you shut up.
You sound like me.
But I want people to feel involved. And this goes with audience members as well. If audience members are like, look, actually, I noticed that something, let me know. I use the phrase feedback again. Yeah. Feedback is a gift. If someone's going to give it to you, I want to look at that gift and go, do you know, I've never thought of it that way before. Yeah. So sorry, the short answer, yes, we're going to have a women's division. I'm very excited. And actually, of all the things that I don't want to say most excited by, but of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes is that part of UKPW. Yeah, intrigued, good word.
Yeah, absolutely. And being someone that's worked at UKPW, there are a lot of young girls that come to the shows. So it will be nice for the girls to see something. Because my uncle said this to me when I started wrestling, and even though it was a small little R&V, he said, you're doing these sorts of shows in these church halls and community centres. He said, you're showing a kid that they can do this. You're showing someone that they can actually go and do this. No matter what level they do it at, you're showing someone they can get up and go and do this. So it is very important, and I commend you for it. I've said about BHW when it comes to having girls, we will have women wrestlers eventually. It's just like timing out and stuff like that. So it will happen. It just needs to figure it all out.
To jump in quickly, sorry, Charlie, to cut you off. One of the other things that's the real problem, because again, we've got this platform, is there's been such a long gap. Between people training and doing shows. So one of the other reasons why we've not gone, we're doing a show on the 12th of July or whatever the date is is because it's also a safety thing.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, I want to know that everyone feels comfortable. Now, for anyone again that's in work or any kind of employment, there's this whole like, I use the phrase peer pressure. You get told to do a job, and because you're getting paid for it, you do that. You're like, yeah, of course I can. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to have that. I don't want a single person to have that fear of going, I don't really want to admit that I don't really know what I'm doing. Because I don't want, and I mean, we've both been in this place, and I'm sure, Charlie, you've been the same with reffing, is that you don't want to give up an element of weakness because you're worried it's going to be held against you later. So my philosophy is I'm going to eliminate that entirely, and then we're going to wait a bit more time, allow the schools to come back. If other promotions want to run shows, that's great, and you want to work on them, that's great. That's your prerogative. For me, I want to make sure that everything that you can, and this goes for Jack and Martin as well, we're like, actually, we're in no rush to get a show on. We just want to make sure that everyone's as happy as they possibly can be in the best possible shape that they can be in. And then from an audience point of view, they get the best value for money.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as soon as the government announced the 3 stages, what they wanted to do, Facebook just exploded with people. We got to show this day. And I've sat there and thinking, I'm just going to put out, hopefully by the end of the year, we can do something. Because we were promised so much last year. As I held my hands up, I was one of the silly people that thought it'd be over within 12 weeks. I got called out for putting stuff online, and I apologise for it. And we moved on. So now, like you, waiting for it to be completely safe to a point where people were allowed in rooms and we can have safe shows and stuff like that. So I'm going to ask a few questions now.
Go for it.
Please be as brutally honest as you can.
Oh, God.
I can say no cookie cutter here.
Okay.
What has been the best match you've been in?
Oh, wow. There's a question. If I have to answer quickly, it will always be the cage match with Kyle Ashmore. That will always be my number one. I enjoyed that because I like to think I could keep up with him.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I made him, I mean, he doesn't need much help, but I helped him make him look like a superstar. Help with the videos. It was cool to wrestle in a cage. So if I had like my CV of wrestling, that has a slight advantage over others. I got to wrestle in a cage. I really enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the most is probably my dumpster match with the Trash Man. That was probably.
I've had one of those with Trash Man as well. They are fun.
Great. It was so. I mean, I love wrestling Trash because I like people that can go with the flow. I like people that can understand, okay, there's a kid there that really wants to get involved. Let's get him involved. There's a family over there that want the good guy to win. Let's give them a reason to. So big fan of Trash Man. When it comes to pure wrestling match, I did enjoy wrestling Maverick Mayhew. I don't think it's a match that's been seen often, but I had a lot of fun with Mav because he would allow, how can I word it? He's one of the few people that sort of, I think people look at me and they go, you're just comedy. You're not serious. But Maverick, I think, looked at me and went, cool, let's do that. Let's do that weird thing you want to try. So in that match, I got to try some different moves. And it was got to do a lot of submission holds, got to do a lot of bit of comedy with him as well. But yeah, sorry, gun to my head, Kyle Ashmore in the cage.
Okay. But you also got to wrestle Johnny Kidd as well, didn't you?
Oh my God, yes. Now that one, the reason why that didn't come to my mind straight away is because the entire match I'm going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And the
same thing with James Mason.
Yeah, right, yeah. And again, Mason, another brilliant example is like to come back to that phrase that we talked about earlier, like a wrestling fan with their worker goggles on. I really struggled to get the worker goggles on because I was like, oh my God, it's the best wrestler in the UK, or it's historically. And with Johnny Kidd, there was an element of the family thing in there as well. Like I remember my granddad mentioning him as one of his favourites. So there was a added layer of ridiculous pressure that no one cared about except me.
Yeah.
And it was a great match. And what was difficult is that because I don't get to do those holds transitions that often, it was a little bit clunky. Don't get me wrong. If you put your real worker goggles on, you go, yeah, that's a bit clunky. But from an audience point of view, and if we really go into the storytelling, why would Dow Jones be a technically brilliant wrestler?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it sort of made more sense.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed I didn't realise that 20 minutes before the match.
Yeah.
Because all the time I'm getting his wrist going, I hope I don't break him. Oh, no, it's okay.
I'll tell you a story. When I got to wrestle James Mason for BCW at Doomsday in Deptford, when I got told a few weeks beforehand, I was like, me? Why isn't Ian wrestling James?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we've got Ian in another match. We think you're good enough to wrestle James. I'm like, okay. And it got to the day of the show, and obviously I went over, introduced myself. I told him who I was trained by. So because that was one thing we would talk is say who you're trained by, and then most of the workers know that you're pretty safe.
Yeah.
And he told me the finish was his head spring into the crossbody. And he went, is there anything you want to do? I said, I want to do this neck breaker thing where you block the arm, swing round, do that. He went,
Great move.
and he said, oh, and that's it. He said, anything else? I went, no, I'm quite happy to call it out there. He went, yeah, fine. And I didn't speak to him again until I got into the ring. So I had my match with him. It's on YouTube. You can find it. I think it's down as James Earls versus James Mason, or James Fraser, as I used to be known as. After the match and all that, I went backstage, and Ian and Dan Allen come up to me and went, hey, are you all right? And I just threw up. I just went, oh, I'm going to be sick. And I just threw up in the corner. I was like, oh, my God. I just got to wrestle James Mason. And what was great about that, and as you'll find out, when I first started out, guys like that weren't doing our shows. So it was a lot harder for us to get better because we were just working with each other. And that's where the bad habits were setting in. And we weren't getting the experience. And James brought me to the side and he told me what I should work on and what I did well. And it was fantastic. So, yeah, as I say, you got, Johnny, he came to a UKPW show. Houghton Regis?
Yes, he did.
He came to Houghton Regis show because I remember being outside and walked past us. I saw James Mason chatting. Excuse my French here, but I said, that's Johnny effing Kidd. I was marking out and I walked over. Hi, Johnny, I'm James. Nice to meet you. Which was really great. So that's your best match you've been in. What's the best match you've seen, whether it be particularly on our sort of shows, like all independent shows?
Super easy answer. I got to witness in Sittingbourne for Rumble Wrestling Promotions, James Mason versus Sid Manelli. It was a 30-minute masterclass. I was there filming the show, and I was meant to be filming everything. And I may or may not have stopped concentrating on what I was doing because then I had a handheld camera and I was at the back of the audience. And it was already difficult because the audience, obviously it's a different promotion, but it's a similar area. And half the audience kept turning around going, that's Dow Jones. And it made me feel good because I was like, oh my God, they recognize me out of all of the costume and they still know it's me. But that made a problem because then I couldn't film near the ring because then it was a bit of a distraction. So I stayed at the back of the hall and I had a really good zoom lens on this particular camera. And they were so good. And what happened was, as I say, I had cameras set up and I was meant to be doing other bits, but I just got, and basically imagine this is the camera. This is essentially what happened. If you're listening on the audio version, I'm just lowering my hand going, oh my God, it's amazing. And what was brilliant about it, sorry to bore anyone that doesn't care, but they didn't need to do face and heel. They didn't need to do the traditional, he's definitely a bad guy, he's definitely a good guy. There were subtleties that made me go, oh, this is a masterpiece, and it's a shame that only 100 people are going to see this. Because they started off, and essentially the story they told, instead of heel face, it was old guy, new guy. That was it. And so now what's happening is that Sid will do something amazing, and then James will do something amazing. And then James will get the upper hand, and then Sid will get out of it. And it was just that for 30 minutes. It was fantastic. And to see that, and then it made me angry in a way, going, this is a crime that this is not on a national stage of any kind.
But on the other hand, those 100 people got to see that, and it's special. And as I've mentioned about BHW shows, like the smaller venues, I treat them like an intimate gig when the talents stop before they go on the tour. They do the smaller gigs to work all the bugs out and that. And I say, sometimes you'll get an absolute masterclass there. Sometimes you get guys that make mistakes. And I say to them, hey, there's 20, 30 people out there. Who cares? They're not going to say nothing. But yeah, as I say, Sid is a superstar. Sid will go into bigger things. He also looks like somebody who we're going to talk about in the review coming up in a little bit. I was like, that's Sid Manelli. Okay, what has been?
I know who you're talking about. Yes,
I was like, that's Sid Manelli with a couple of extra stone on him.
yes.
What has been the worst match you've been in?
There's a question. I remember.
Why?
I do remember. Now, I might misremember this, but it's unfortunate because I want to say it was 2009, and it was in a 6-man tag. But all I really remember about it, so it was me, a gentleman who's one of my best friends, who was named Prince Bassie. So we were going to be a tag team. It was like two good mates. It's actually, sidebar, one of the weirdest crossovers of my life is that so I've got 3 incredibly close friends, and 2 of them have gone into the wrestling business, but they missed each other. If you see what I mean. So like one left and one joined.
Yeah.
And so I never got the privilege of having a car full of like childhood mega friends. Anyway, sorry. So Prince Bassie, it was myself and Anton Green. We were in one team. And I believe we were against Gabriel Myers and I forget who the other 2 were now. But what happened was, now I'm going to tell you what I think happened. But when I tell you that, remember that when I'm saying this other person might actually have been me. I don't remember. But basically, we did this match, and I remember it was in sort of a Strood area, so again, still the Medway sort of towns. And basically, the match was stuck on repeat. Someone had forgot. This is why I don't like planning too much, because someone was obviously waiting for something, but the something weren't happening.
Waiting for their cue.
Yeah. And we just kept going around in circles, and it was atrocious. And I'm glad I hadn't bought a million cameras, because I think there's only one bit of footage of this, and I'm glad that no one ever sees it, because I remember even being on the apron going, "We've been here for 20 minutes, and I'm just screaming, going, "Why are we still going?" So the good thing with the Dow Jones characters, I can sort of get away with saying outrageous things without anyone going, "Oh, this is weird." Like, it feels real. But yeah, it was a 6-man tag. I think what happened, someone forgot their cue, probably this guy, and the match just ended, and it was a bit like, oh. And I also remember my friend Prince Bassie never returned. So it was that cringeworthy that it put him off entirely. But that's, sorry, it's not a gossipy match, but that was.
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. What has been the worst match you've seen on the show?
That's difficult.
Anything that Charlie Eastman's refereed.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
1 in, 1 out. 1 in, 1 out. Why's the ref gone Welsh?
Nothing comes to mind, and maybe that's because I always look at a positive of things. Maybe I don't know. I'll always remember. I feel bad saying that this probably isn't the answer, but to give an answer for the live stream, I want to say it was one of the UKPW shows, and there were 4 guys, I think, from Italy. I can't remember. They weren't German. I'm sure they were Italian or Spanish. I apologize, I forget. But they did a 4-way match, either a tag match or a 4-way match. But I remember so what I used to try to do is try and look at the live audience, because I want to see who's reacting, so that when I get to go out, right, I'm going to react to these people, whatever. So I'm watching, and don't get me wrong, they were really good wrestlers. They were, but none of it mattered.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. And I was like, this is awkward, because we're just seeing people be gymnastic type people. Portugal in the comments. Yes, sorry. So, and I it's not that it was a bad match. It was a good match, but from a UKPW audience, and I'm about to follow this match, they'd actually done me a favor because as mean as it sounds, I came out next and it was one of the loudest reactions I'd ever had. And in a weird way, I think it was I like to think it was because I generated heat with the previous shows.
Yeah.
But it might have been because the previous match there wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah, no, I did hear about that one actually. I did hear the whispers in the locker room that match didn't get over, as they say. So yeah, but yeah, that's fair enough.
Live and learn, though. They live and learn. Hopefully they'll watch that match and go, yeah, maybe we should have given the. I think that if we be technical, I remember not knowing who I should care about.
Yes, yeah,
If you
and
see what I mean.
that's the problem with a lot of modern wrestling. The audience, unless you tell the audience who to care for, they're not going to. They're just going to react. You're going to get golf claps for stuff, things like that. Okay, so those are the hard-hitting questions. As we carry on, hi Mia, it's good to see you. Hello Stefan. He's generally respects the fact that UKPW management are not to hurry and get a show on until it's 100% safe. I feel there are some promotions that are already rushing into announcing dates, selling tickets. Yes, but also people have got to pay the bills. So
yeah,
that's the other thing about it. Okay, so I think it's time, Charlie. Do you?
It's time.
It's time for a review section. Now, this has come along because a couple of weeks ago I appeared on Are You Smarter Than a UKPW Wrestler? And won into the next round in the semi-finals.
You did know a lot.
Yeah, not as much as Ian.
Oh, I know. He had an encyclopedia.
Yeah, he really is. He's I feel sorry for, is it Rex and JJ who'll be facing a week's time? Yeah, good luck, guys. We were in like the chat room and all that, and I was mentioning, we were doing a review of this NWA show coming up. And Max went, I'd come along and give you a review of it. The fact that there's no explosions is going to make it the worst show ever. I was like, I tell you what, Alex, if you want to come on and do a review, please feel free. And this is where we are now. So, Charlie, take it away.
Okay, so the previous week we had the return of NWA Nation back for
NWA Nation?
What did I say? Oh, NWA back for the attack.
Now, NWA stands for National Wrestling Alliance, not the hip hop group.
Had to clarify that.
Yeah. Bear with me a second. My front door's just gone. Keep filling in.
Yeah, keep going. So, obviously, in a COVID environment, there was no audience. I think NWA did a really good job of getting the audience sound back in. It was a bit like FIFA during the football live games. But overall, I think they did a really good job overall, actually. Some of the so just going to go through from top to bottom, basically. I'm back. The first match was a fatal four-way involving Jax Dane, Slice Boogie, Crimson, and Sid Manelli. Also known as Jordan Clearwater.
Jordan Clearwater. It looks like Sid Manelli with a couple of extra stone.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good opener. One of the gripes I do have, though, I mean, I do like the name Boogie Slice. What a name. I wish he was wearing wrestling boots and not Jordans.
Do you mean Slice Boogie?
Yeah.
Slice Boogie. I wish he was wearing boots and not trainers. But being in, we've done four-way matches in the past. They're very hard to do. And this one was pretty good.
They are really hard.
Yeah.
I feel like from watching it, they definitely rehearsed a bit too much. It was a little bit. They went from A to B, like it was all very, very.
Yeah, the camera picked up Crimson on the outside, waiting for his mark to get back in the ring and stuff like that.
There was a lot of that.
That's just poor camera work, really. It's not wrestling's fault.
On a side note, I know you're going to go through all the matches, but the thing I must compliment the NWA on is that is just firstly the studio look. Yeah, I love it. I think that's great look. And it's talking about the audience again. You just feel like, I can enjoy this. This is going to be 2 hours of solid good stuff. And as you say, the only downside though is them cameras are so close that the audio, and sometimes I love it, sometimes I don't. The best example is when they run the ring, because I can hear the stamps.
Yeah.
So it's difficult because I like the noise, but then when a big move happens, I've heard that noise loads of times now.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry. So coming back to your point about this match, because the cameras are so close, you can't help but see the little hesitations and the winks and nods to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually funny you say that, because Katie, my partner, who's not a wrestling fan in the slightest, was watching it while it was in the background while she was doing her thing. And even she said, that is a really loud ring, isn't it? She said, for a wrestling ring, that is really loud. So I had to explain to her about, how wrestling rings work and what some promotions might put under the ring to make it a little bit louder.
Yeah. Or not.
I'll just write that down.
Yeah.
Right. But
I keep getting his name. Is it Slice Boogie? Slice Boogie's from the same. He's from Creative Pro, isn't he?
I thought so.
Yeah, I think he trained with like MJF and all that. I think he's from the Brian Myers training school. So, but I thought he was really good. Obviously, was his name not Drinkwater?
Jordan Clearwater.
Jordan Clearwater. I don't want to keep calling him Sid Manelli, but I thought he was pretty good. He's got a bit of talent that's going to come along, and it was good to see Crimson back as well.
It was.
My complaint to chime in. So I appreciate that the NWA's audience is not necessarily the UK on Virgin TV, which they mention quite a few times in the main event. Yeah, which made me laugh. But my issue with this match is, so I used to love Power, watched it quite often, but it's easy to fall in and out. And my issue was, I mean, I enjoyed the match. Don't get me wrong, enjoyed the match. I could have done with a little bit more like, tell me more. Because the commentary I loved and hated at the same time. Because I forget the guy's name. I love the straight guy, but Tim, what's his face?
Tim Storm.
I mean, great wrestler. Enjoy what he does. Please stop talking. Or at least give him another person. Because
they did.
They did. And again, it's all feedback. It's all personal opinion. So again, he did a really good job. He did do what he could do. But my issue with this match was I was really struggling to care.
Yeah,
I don't
because
really...
there was no stakes really. It was a match for match sake.
Yes. And I could have done with something at the beginning. I think, again, I'm talking about the American audience, fine. They might not have needed this. But from a UK perspective, I could have done with a 2-3 minute video package on each guy.
Yeah.
Just going, right, this is this guy. This is what he does. This is his big move you've got to look out for.
Yeah.
That's what I think was missing from this 4-way.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was it. Charlie messaged me about Tim Storm earlier on this week and said, why is Tim Storm talking? He's not as bad as Michael Cole.
That's true. Yeah, okay, I'll stand down. Yeah, okay.
But you're comparing apples and oranges, aren't you?
I will say, as the booth got bigger, it didn't get better till the main event.
Yeah.
And then the following episode of Power, the commentary wasn't as great either, but it was great to see Velvet Sky on the television for a change.
I haven't watched that yet.
Have you not watched it? It's free on the Fire app or on Virgin if you've got Virgin.
Still Roll Tide?
Oh yeah. She's still Roll Tide. I mean, she's not full of as much plastic as some people, but she still looks good. But Bubba Ray Dudley's one lucky man. So we move on to the second match. The second match was Charlie.
Is it Kratos? Is that how they pronounce it?
Kratos, tag team champion with Idol Stevens, or was it?
Yes.
Doesn't call it Aaron Stevens. He calls him
Aaron Stevens.
Yeah.
Kratos versus Tyrus.
Yeah.
God, what a man.
Yeah, what a man. Cut a bit of a promo. Wasn't great on the promo.
It wasn't. No.
It wasn't particularly good. It was good to see him. It wasn't the Hoss battle I was expecting. It was a bit slow. It was a bit slow and clunky.
Has he trimmed down?
Yes. No,
he has trimmed down a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think the shaving of the beard might have helped on that one as well.
I'd like to chime in. So I dispute your promo. I think it was all right because he's like, so I'm coming in as a casual audience member.
Yeah.
I recognize him.
Yes.
And he comes out and basically says, "Where's my TV time?"
Yeah.
Good point. Great reason to already hate him. Love it. And side note, this is in my notes I'm just reading here, and I'll read it word for word what I've written here. Side note, he leans on the table, it starts moving. Really cracked me up.
Yes, because the table's on wheels. You get to see that later on in the show. That table's on wheels.
Yeah.
You're right, the big guy versus big guy thing. I remember again. I think it's Cornette that said this when they did like a big guy stable in the WWE in like 2005, like Matt Morgan and people.
Yes.
They've got their big guy, they've got another big guy, but they've made their big guy look small.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, you're right. It should have been like this massive, like big Hoss kind of match, and he didn't come across that way. In hindsight, I could have done with him against a much smaller wrestler, killing him, and then
Yeah. It looked like so. It was a bit slow and clunky. Kratos, obviously, he's one half of the tag team champion. Now it was kind of a heel versus a bad guy versus a bad guy. Anybody doesn't understand the terminology. Heel versus heel. And like again, it was another match with no stakes. There was nothing.
Yeah.
It was. I understand because of the pandemic at the moment with a lot of the rosters, it is a match for having match sake. But still, it was nice to see something different for a change.
That's fair.
We just had a 4-way with a really tall guy and a broad guy and a skinny guy and another guy, and there was some flips and stuff in it. And then this one was just, like I say, it was just slightly not methodical. It was just very slow as it went on.
You needed something to sort of bring it down a little bit more, didn't you?
Yeah, whereas we like to call the palate cleanser.
The palate cleanser, exactly.
Yeah, I don't like the term "let me up" or the piss break match. I like the term palate cleanser because you have one of those when you have a nice meal. You have your starter, you have a bit of a palate cleanser, then you have the main course.
I love it.
I'm never to invite you over for dinner.
I expect a palate cleanser, a nice sorbet.
Don't ever say that again.
Sorbet. There was an interview in between, wasn't there? What's her name? May.
Oh, yeah. This made me laugh. She can't say the word W.
No, because she's French Canadian. English isn't her first language. Now, she had been on some previous shows on Power beforehand, and she was like a heel girlfriend sort of thing. And now they're using her as the backstage interviewer. And unfortunately, because for May, something May she's called, and she got a lot of abuse online this week because of her accent and stuff like that, and the way she looks. I mean, she's had some enhancements, but it's what makes her feel better in herself. But yeah, there she is.
There she is.
There she is. Oh, yeah.
Look at his face. It's just like, what?
Well,
I'm just here to read the comments.
Yeah, that's your job enhancement guy. Sal Man. I can't remember his last name, but he's not a bad little worker. He's pretty good. So she was backstage, and as you say, she can't say the word W because of her French accent.
That makes sense.
But I think she will get better. I think if Mr. Corgan puts some more money in, gets some people in for some media training, that could help. That could help a lot. So yeah. So we then move on to match 3.
Yeah, which was the NWA World Television Championship. The Pope defending his title. Look at that. Look at him. Look at that fine specimen of man.
What just underrated. Versus Tom Latimer, UK guy.
UK guy, formerly known as Bram.
Now, I really liked this match. It was timed as well. It was 10 minutes and 5 seconds. I think they told a great story. The result of this match was a time limit draw. Couldn't get all the way there. Wasn't overly impressed on the Pope's top, but I understand he may have not been working out during the pandemic. So he's covering up and accentuating stuff like that. That's a lovely looking belt as well. It really is. Tom Latimer's a beast. I never really watched him in Impact, but I've been watching him on NWA. It's nice to see a rugged guy. He's worked WWW for Brett Meadows in the past. They've had a couple of matches. So yeah, I really like this match. Dow?
Yeah, I mean, remind me what the 5 seconds was. I can't remember because
Because
when
the old television time in NWA used to be 6:05. So
Yes.
originally TV title matches was 6 minutes and 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
But now they've added it. They changed it to 10 minutes and 5 seconds.
Right. I was watching going, I can't think why it's that. But
Yeah.
I loved it. The match was great. And this is, again, a big compliment to the NWA. So for anyone here that wants me, I mean, like, we can do the Dow Jones character if you like. Because I wanted to come on here and be like, there's not enough explosions and there's not enough barbed wire and I want more Kenny Omega doing weird things. Yeah, I want all the pointing and all this kind of stuff. But no, to give you an honest, yeah. I mean, we'll get onto that later. But no, for a really enjoyable. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you can always put on I keep saying the phrase, you can put on your wrestling fan glasses and be like, oh, well, they didn't quite execute this move very well. And this didn't have great match. You could get a casual person to watch that and they would understand he's the champion, he's the challenger, this is the story they're telling. Loved it. Great. And 10 minutes. And I love the 5 seconds I loved. 10 minutes, perfect length.
Yeah.
My only complaint, if I'm going to have to be nitpicky and put them goggles on, is this still only the main event is except maybe the women's match.
Yeah.
It's only the main event that feels like a pay-per-view match.
Yes.
All of this felt like TV, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, as I said to you before we came on the air, I really enjoyed this show, but the price I paid for it, for what I got, I was a little bit let down. But then I think about it, when you go see a local show, you're paying a similar price sort of thing.
Yeah. But great. I'm not taking anything away from the show. Very, very good. Just for a UK audience, arguably debuting there.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a casual person going, "Ooh, wrestling. Ooh, yeah, I'll pay."
Yeah.
Will they buy it again?
Exactly.
I'm not sure.
What I did like in the match, there was a spot where Pope was doing the elbow drops from the corner, and he was going up for the third one, and Tom Latimer was rolling away, and as he was rolling away, he jumped the length to still land on him as well to hit that elbow drop. I thought that was beautiful. Charlie, your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, it was one of my favourite matches of the night. Actually, I think it's a bit of nostalgia. I'm a big fan of the NWA TV title back from the 605 days. I love the psychology of a time limit match. I always have done. I feel like it's something that we need to use a lot more with British wrestling. Of the shit, we've got 30 seconds left. I need to win this match. You know,
UKPW on their last show had a scramble match with a time limit, and it was a legitimate time limit because I was counting down with my watch, and the elation, people, the last 10 seconds where Buff Broadside started running around the venue to not get pinned, and the crowd were counting down with it, and the bell rang, the match was over. And
then the explosion happened.
The explosion happened.
I'll never forget going on a side tangent. I remember AJ Styles wrestling James Ty in a 30-minute Iron Man match in commentary. And I can, AJ was like one pinfall above on the scoreboard. And in the last 10 seconds, it was literally like James Ty trying to grab him and AJ just like backstepping back, not letting him even touch him, knowing full well that he was going to win. And in this match, I really loved the fact that Pope wasn't happy with the draw. Yeah, I've held on to the title, but I've not won anything.
No,
which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, he wasn't overly happy with it. Nor was Tom Latimer, because Tom Latimer was like, but Tom was trying to get the pin with the last few seconds and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think this was, as I say, one of the matches of the night. You know, you could sit there, as you say, as a non-wrestling fan, watch that and enjoy that.
Yeah, and as a promoter, I suppose if you put time limits on your matches, you know your show's not going to go over. Don't you?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
We then go on to the next match, which is for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. Chris Adonis, formerly known as Chris Masters, going up against the champion Trevor Murdoch.
Yeah, my man. We can Hang on, you got a comment just come up. Want to become famous, buy followers, Prime, and View. I'm not clicking on that link. Chris Adonis has certainly come off the supplements the last few years. You can really see that. He's got steroid ass and back, and his triceps are all the way down there as well. I don't know who's trying to hijack our chat. There's only 5 viewers. Trevor Murdoch was looking great with his beard. I think it was a good match. It was a good match. It's not the sort of Adonis isn't that sort of a wrestler though. He's not a wrestler. He was a body and power, and I know he's tried to change his look and stuff like that, but for me, it was lacking a bit. And
I agree.
Trevor Murdoch doesn't look like a good guy.
No.
He doesn't look like a good guy. So yeah, but still,
I mean, to compliment the NWA though, this is what they do very well. And again, I appreciate this is only going to be an audience of like 3 people that get the joke. But this is what I will argue with the AEW thing is they did at least try to get different looking people, but the NWA just execute it perfectly.
yes.
You look at them two and you go, surely the bodybuilder man's going to win. And then through the fight and through the match, you realize, oh my God, Murdoch is going to do this.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love it because it's, again, easy. I don't want to say easy TV to watch, but you can see why back in the 80s that millions of people would watch this kind of program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. And they were legitimate as well because they had to, if they got challenged in the bar and all that, they had to play up to the characters. So a lot of them were legitimate. So yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match. But like I say, poor Adonis, man, his body was not holding up well. But I like Trevor Murdoch. I think he's very underrated.
He's the only neckbeard that you like, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, no, he's not a neck beard. He's got a proper beard. It comes from his chin to his neck. It's not just his neck. If people are still watching and listening, I got actually messaged privately what is a neck beard the other day, and I had to give a definition.
Love it.
Small children, cover your ears. A neck beard is a nerd whom the only tit he's ever sucked on is his mother's.
Oh, listen to you. Will you stop?
I know. Sorry to upset any Dow Jones sort of children. But yeah, like I say, it was good to. It just was a fun show. This really was a fun show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And after this, we then obviously got May again. She did another interview backstage, building up to the main event. Before the video package came in, we got a women's match. Thunder Rosa.
Now, hang on a minute.
Oh, no.
Wait, before we get there, am I the only one who noticed that at the end of the match, when Adonis attacked...
he couldn't find the way out. He couldn't find his way out.
One, he couldn't find the way out. And 2, I'm looking, and I don't know why they chose to do it, but you just see them chauffeuring Austin Idol into where he needs to go for the commentary table. And I'm looking at it.
He didn't come up. That was later because we got in the next. Is it Tara Terrell? Is that her name? Drew McIntyre's ex-wife.
That match must have taken place before the national title then, because he definitely came
out. The women's match. Yeah, because that's where the commentary got really dire during that women's match.
Yeah,
because she was not good.
No.
And you obviously had Tim Storm there, aka Shane Stevens in 20 years when he gets a lot older.
Love the old school studio setup.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, it is. Anyone that knows Shane Stevens, he is the illegitimate son of Tim Storm. They look exactly the same. So anyway, we move on to the women's match, which was Thunder Rosa taking on Brickhouse Camille. Now, Thunder Rosa, three days, or about a week previous, because it was pre-recorded, had the had the trash match with Dr. Britt Baker, and she was showing no signs of fatigue, which was a little bit of an annoyance for me. But Thunder Rosa
It's a
carried
different universe.
No, they mentioned it. They mentioned she had this match on
Oh,
AEW.
did they?
AEW
Oh, okay.
was mentioned. Camille herself, she's a former professional athlete. She played softball at college level. She played in the lingerie football league. I know, but it is terrible. It is terrible, the lingerie football league. But if you get to see some of that footage, those girls hit each other, because I think Summer Rae, who was in WWE, she played in that too. And those girls are tough. So she played in that. She's done a bit of body. She does a bit of professional bodybuilding. She's also going out with Tom Latimer. I know all this stuff, but she did a sit-down interview ages ago on NWA. She's very green.
Yes.
But she is very green, but there is potential for her to become a real star.
She is a lump. Definitely. She is
I wouldn't
solid.
say she's a lump. Oh, yeah, she's
No,
solid.
like, I mean that in a positive way. You know, she's very agile.
Yes.
I just felt like there were moments in that match where she just looked lost.
Yeah. Thunder Rosa looks
Oh,
amazing.
God, that is brilliant.
That's a great picture.
That is a great picture.
If obviously, if people are listening to this later on, Thunder Rosa is stretching Camille with the ring post. That's a great picture. Well done, Alex. Well done.
I try.
That is really good. Thunder Rosa is really, really good. She held her own and carried Camille to a very good match. The only problem I had was the finish, where she had to hit Thunder Rosa with 2 spears. I think one could have done. But yeah, it was all right.
I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this is again, I mean, I'm probably not doing a very good job here, but I'm super pro AEW. But the big complaint I have about AEW, and it's just unfortunate, that they seem to have a curse on their women's division, because anytime they build someone up, they get injured and then they're taken out. They're going to build someone else up, injured, taken out.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat. While the NWA, on the other hand, if I don't know, bad example, but if you said like a month ago, Alex, tell me the female wrestlers in the NWA, these are the only 2 I could give a proper name to. Maybe Melina, maybe.
Hmm.
And what I like is that these are 2 people that I wouldn't have known a year ago or 2 years ago. So they have done a very good job of building these 2 up. So as a casual fan watching this, when I saw this was on the card, I do want to see who's going to win. Is it the wrestling technical prowess, or is it the powerhouse that's going to win?
Yeah.
That compare and contrast is perfect. So from a booking going into the match, and even just sitting back and watching it, it was one of the few matches, again, this helps that I knew the characters, but I'm sort of going, I actually want to see who's going to win. I want to see. And you're absolutely right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I didn't think Camille was going to win. I thought Thunder Rosa was going to win.
I did.
I was quite surprised with the finish.
Yeah, and they've done a good job of building both of these and I think the match also helps that when you look back, you go, yeah, that could have been either way.
Yeah.
So they've done an excellent job of both people having that match. They weren't booked into a corner. Yes, there is a clear winner and a clear loser, but if you did a rematch in 3 months' time, or even next week, I want to watch that.
Yeah.
Great match.
It was very, very good. So Tara Sorrell, she was on commentary, and it wasn't good. I don't think she had anybody telling her what to say in her ear roll, because she was just saying some random stuff like, "Well, I need to get to the gym to work out if I'm going to have to keep up with these girls, this, that, and the other." I think you just buried yourself. If you're coming into this women's division, you need to mention the fact that you're ready to go, as you were doing with the reveal of the rosters. You need to emphasize that you're ready to go. So then it was the main event.
We went to the main event.
Sweet Charlotte, £10 of gold.
Yeah.
Now, before you move on to that, the one thing I want to say about the announcement going into this match, the ring announcer clearly forgot what he just said.
Yes.
And I wish I'd written down the quote, because it was something like, the world champion Nick Aldis from Nick Aldis.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did do that.
He went.
So good, he had to name him twice.
So he said Nick Aldis first. That's where he got it wrong. He went, and to my right, Nick Aldis from Norwich, England, weighing such as the NWA World Champion.
Yeah. Looking good, though. Look at him. Looking good. Sweet Charlotte, £10 of gold. The belt held by Harley Race, Fez, Flair.
Nature Boy, yeah.
Nature,
Dusty.
briefly, British wrestler Gary Steele.
Mm.
Throwing that out there. Yeah. Aaron Stevens, obviously, former Damien Sandow. This match was dedicated to the former wrestler. Well, I say former wrestler, he's passed away now. The Question Mark, which was a great character that was never meant to get over. In the corner, just underneath there, you can see the Question Mark's mask. There was a nice video package before. Great video. Aaron putting out to the Question Mark's son about how proud he was of him, this, that, and the other. It was very, very good. Great match. Really was. It was great to see a technical, methodical wrestling match. Started with a collar. It started with a lockup. There was no jump start. And it was treated like a contest. Next.
Yeah, it was. It was a solid match, and even Austin Idol on commentary said these two are.
Austin Idol being on there. Oh,
yeah,
it was like being in the room with Loveless. I loved it. The fact that getting over the fact that he trained Aldis and things like that, he was fantastic. Go on, sorry.
But even he said it that these two are wrestling. It was a great solid match, and they made a great point of saying on commentary that Nick Aldis is huge. He's a big guy. Aaron Stevens isn't that much smaller, and they're not out there putting body slams and suplexes on each other. They were wrestling. They were using holds. I think Austin Idol marked out for a hammerlock.
He did.
Yeah. But it was really enjoyable.
Austin Idol, he invented the figure 4 leg lock, didn't he?
I thought he did.
Yeah, he
invented
the figure 4 leg lock because he started going when it was put on and all that. He was going on, how he invented it. And
wasn't it the Las Vegas lock or something like that?
The Las Vegas lock, that was it. The Las Vegas
leg lock or something like that. Yeah. Because this is what I like about the NWA is that if you think of it, I know we've got a few people in the comments saying this, but it is a throwback. We're trying to do a modern version of the throwback, and this match. If you use the phrase in the context of the arena and what they're going for, this is as close to perfection as they're going to get. Yeah. Because you had two characters, two motives. I need to be the champion. Okay, unfortunate circumstances that then happened, but they both had reasons to be the champion. You believe both of them can be the champion. They exchanged holds. They were trying to be the best, and they were trying to beat the other guy. The commentary was excellent within reason. They were putting over the belt, putting over the heritage, putting over each wrestler. The referee wasn't in the way, which I've seen in other matches as well.
Charlie, take note.
Fuck you.
As close to perfection as possible. Thoroughly enjoyed this. And this is the sort of thing that you could take. You go, right, here is 25 minutes of wrestling. And I could give it to someone and go, this is what it can be.
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be that complicated.
No.
And to put I'm just going to tell the joke, just get out of the way. Could do with more explosions, though. I could do with a barbed wire flaming bat which explodes just 1/2 a second before it hits someone. Yeah. I could do with these. But in all seriousness, for the NWA, what a great match to have as your main event.
Yeah. That's the sort of match as workers, when we go to these shows, we don't get invested so much in the good guy, bad guy. We get invested in the actual art, and then when the match is over, we would stand up and applaud the art of what we had just seen, because we'd all dreamed to have that sort of a match. It was so good. I've watched it 2 or 3 times since. I just really, really enjoyed it. Austin Idol on commentary was amazing. as I say, it was very. There's where the table went over, and I saw the wheels on it. I was like, oh, that's what wheels. They used the studio as well. They Aldous used the ring as a tag partner, to help them gain advantage and upper hands.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Stevens was obviously doing this for the question mark. He was doing this as best he could, and they made it look like a contest. It really did make it look like a real good contest. Obviously, we all kind of knew that Aaron Stevens wasn't going to win. He was going to be retained. But what you've just put up now, the screenshot of them all in the ring with the question mark flag, generally brought a tear to my eye because I wasn't expecting it. When Aaron Stevens was in the ring with the mask, and all of a sudden I saw this woman, and I instantly knew that that's the question mark's wife. And it brought a tear to my eye. So I was like, that's a beautiful thing, because it's not like when the WWE would just make a whole thing of the whole night. It was mentioned at the beginning of the show. There was a 10-bell salute just before the match. There was a quick promo, but it wasn't centered around the whole show, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was genuine. It was a beautiful thing. Karate. Yeah, I'm gonna miss the question mark. I am. Yeah.
I think what's really cool as well about the NWA title and the fact that there's been such a huge gap between shows is that Aldis has had that title now for 2.5 years, I think.
Yeah, it come up the other day.
Doesn't feel like it. So
No.
he could get a pretty long reign, and it would feel fresh still.
Well, yeah. Also now the international audience as well. Now it's on Virgin Television in the UK. I don't know what time of day it's on and all that, but people obviously when TNA went to Challenge, it was the highest rated wrestling show in the country because it was on free television.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When it was on Challenge, but the same sort of thing could happen to the NWA now of it being on Virgin Media. Like wrestling fans will go and watch it, and old people that have walked away remember seeing this sort of wrestling may come back to it. So yeah, fingers crossed for the NWA. We might get a tour over here at some point, and we get to see those matches. It's great to see a British guy on top.
Mm.
The NWA.
As long as they stay in a studio, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, they stay in the studio, but for their main events, they go to like we do, like leisure centres and things like that. Make the special events look more important. I was going to say something. It's on the tip of my tongue. I want to say it. It keeps on disappearing, so I go on another tangent.
All Elite Wrestling is still better, correct?
All Elite Wrestling is not better. All Elite Wrestling has potential, and from what I've seen, for what people are calling the restart after what happened, obviously at Revolution, certain things are changing, and it's making me sort of like think, yeah, I can watch this now a bit.
I can watch this now.
I can watch this now. I can't watch it anymore. I am enjoying MJF's promos at the moment because he's cutting proper promos again. On the whole, I give this a good C plus, maybe a B as a show. Like I say, the only negative is there was no audience there, and I paid £20 for the privilege for an hour-and-a-half show. Because it was an hour and a half long because we'd previously recorded the previous podcast. And just as we finished, I thought, I'll put it on my laptop. And I was like, oh, this is the main event. Hang on, this started an hour ago. What's going on? And it was 30 minutes long as well. It was a good 30-minute match, which you didn't realise.
It's a real catch-22 because that's why I liked the show, is that it weren't long. But that's the problem, is the price versus the value.
Yeah.
That's the issue here. If they can make it cheaper or fine, I don't know. Because I don't know if I could watch longer than 2.5 hours of it.
Yeah, I think the Crockett Cup was on YouTube earlier on last year. We sat and watched, didn't we, Charlie?
We did.
And that was a cup. That was a good 2.5 hours long. I think
2.5 hours, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2.5 hours is perfectly fine for a main event show, and like a live event, 2 hours is perfectly fine as well. Payment versus happiness scale. How I buy things. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you there, Richard Doyle. That's how I buy things. Payment versus happiness. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next show whenever they have it. Glad Power is back on the Fight app so I can watch it, which is another good thing. keep up to date with
So
what's
it's
going
no
on.
I
longer
love
on YouTube
Power.
anymore.
No, it's no longer on
Mm.
YouTube anymore. But obviously, the wrestling picture is changing again. It's now getting to the point where we're getting wrestling 6 days a week. You got your Monday Night Raw. NXT's moving to Tuesdays. You're going to have AEW on Wednesdays. Also on Tuesdays, you get NWA Power. Impact's moving back to Thursdays. SmackDown on Friday. MLW's moving to Saturdays. Yeah, you see, look, it's just so
Too
much. Whereas
And then
when
you can come and watch UKPW live on a Sunday.
Good plug. Good plug.
absolutely Sundays are the best time to run a show. I found that out myself. But yeah, as I give it a strong CB. What about yourself there, Dale? Alex. What's your review?
Either or. Well, Dow Jones gives it a no. Yeah, I think I agree with you. If it was a free show, I would be giving it an A
Yeah,
because it was solid. But for the price that you pay for what you get, I mean, I needed some explosions. How many times do I need to say this? I need the explosions. I paid for no, but no. In all
Well,
seriousness,
technically they did deliver on explosions because there was explosions. That that's the business side of things. No, we advertised it. There was explosions, just not what you were expecting.
swerve. It was very good. If it was a free show that you would watch on YouTube, then it would be like an A. Couple of things to tweak, but pay-per-view, I see even a C is arguably being nice because
It was a different time of day as well in the States. They did it at 4:00 in the afternoon.
did they?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I just don't. I feel bad saying this, but if we use the £20 logic, if it costs £20 to pay for it,
Yeah.
I'm not satisfied.
No.
I mean, the main event was great, but 20 quid for the main event. There are boxing main events that are less than that.
Yeah.
And you go, I feel bad saying that, but yeah, I'd like to say more, but yeah. Oh, another comment.
We needed a bit of Ricky Morton, didn't we?
Yeah, where was the Rock and Roll Express? Oh, yeah, he's running his own thing, isn't he? The School of Morton. You get that on Facebook for free. He streams that every week. So he still runs that. So Richard Doyle's just commented again. So just so you get what I mean, if you earn £9 an hour and a DVD is 10, you get an hour and a half enjoyment out of it. So it's worth £14 plus, then you watch it more and more once. That's true. Once you've paid for it, you own it now through the Fight app as well. So you can go back and watch it as many times as you like. So it swings in roundabouts, as they say. It does swing in roundabouts. Alex, where can we find you on social media and all the important stuff?
Honestly, your best bet is the UKPW page. I post a lot on there. Literally just search UKPW and we'll be there. Same with Instagram. But personally, if you look for either Dow Jones Wrestling or Dow Jones Wrestler, you will find me.
There you go. You just recently come on Twitter as well, I noticed.
Well, I had a profile for about 10 years. I despise Twitter.
Oh, I do. I really do too, but I do find myself going on it more and more.
Yeah, the thing about Twitter, if we ignore the people, which is the whole point of it, I get it. But if we ignore the people for a second, I actually don't like the interface. I don't like how it works, if that makes sense. I get it. I'm obviously in the minority, so ignore me. But yeah, I just don't like it.
That's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. Charlie, you got any more questions for Alex whilst we've still got him on here live?
I've got one for you.
Go for it.
In a non-COVID environment, if you was told you're going to have your last match tomorrow, who would it be against?
Ooh, there's a question. So if you're talking, let's put some parameters on this one. Let's go like literally there's no budget. There's like, you can be anything in the world and then we'll do one with a budget. I would like to wrestle Rob Van Dam because when I was a kid, or when I say a kid, when I was a teenager, he was my hero. And I'm obsessed about doing the splits. and that is what I've been working on over lockdown. So I will pull this maneuver out at some point.
We're going to see a Dow Jones split-legged moonsault.
We're going to see Dow Jones trying to be Rob Van Dam and failing. That's what we're going to see. But no, to give you Rob Van Dam would be my dream. Like, I'd be marking out the whole way through, going, "Oh my god,
Okay.
this is great." But to give a realistic answer, I think I'd like to. This is such a stupid thing to say, but I have a thing with loyalty, and I have a thing about the people that got you to where you are. So I think actually I'd like my last match to be against the Nail. And I'd like to do it all out. And all joking aside, it feels like you've set me up for this joke, but I mean this seriously. I would love to wrestle the Nail in some sort of like barbed wire rope match. I really would. And
It's you doing it, not me. So
yeah. And if I can, I'll add explosions. But no, yeah, probably the Nail. But Dream World, Rob Van Dam.
Cool.
Great.
Good question.
Cool. I've got a friend out there, Stuart Patrick. He'd be happy with that one because he's a big Rob Van Dam fan. Obviously, Rob Van Dam being announced this week going into the Hall of Fame.
It's not actually been confirmed, though, is it?
There's plenty of pictures.
I don't think WWE have confirmed it yet.
Paul Heyman did with a picture of him doing that.
Did he?
Sabu let it out. Our friend Sabu on Twitter.
Our buddy.
Our buddy.
Our chum.
Our friend Sabu. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Alex. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure. No, thanks for having me.
Our first live. We managed to maintain. I mean, we still got 5 people viewing. I think the most we got up to was 11. So we still managed to maintain an amount, which is good. And now this will be on Facebook for us to share and people to see. So yeah, check us out on Spotify at the Podwaggon. The reason why we're available on Spotify is because we use a musical intro and a musical outro. That's why we can't get on any other anywhere else. If we took the music out, we'd be on more platforms. But because we use an intro and an outro, we are only exclusive to Spotify.
That's right.
We're going to finish this week's outro with the OJs because of our guest.
Hello.
So we'll be playing out with one of my favourite songs, "Money, Money, Money, Money." Oh, yeah.
I love seeing people sing the song to me. It will never get old. It will never get old.
When your entrance goes, people in the locker room do sing your entrance music when you go out. It reminds me of the time I did an all-star show and Gangrel was on there. And one of the girl wrestlers went out to Filthy Gorgeous by the Scissor Sisters, and I got to see Gangrel sing and dance to that in full gear. So
that was the same night, because I was there that night. That was the same night that James Mason came out to Ghetto Gospel by Tupac.
Yeah.
I need to see that.
Yeah. That was a good
That
show.
is a rib waiting to happen. For the record, I'm going to say this to any UKPW wrestler that is watching this or plans to watch it. I am going to rib you with theme songs because I don't care. I can edit them out later.
Yeah.
I'm in control. I'm going to play anything.
Absolutely perfect. Why not? You're paying for it.
Exactly.
It's my ball. You can't play.
And also, if we are putting content out on live streaming platforms like this, as you say, all these platforms copy strike everything anyway. Yeah. So I'm going to play whatever I want.
There you go. There you go. From Ian Lovelace, get Fentos to do one for you. Of course, people feel free to go back and check out Jack's rendition of Goldust's entrance music.
It's the beginning bit that gets me.
I've not seen this.
Oh, I'll send you. I'll send you. Well, you're not on Facebook anymore, are you, Charlie? Because you're a teacher.
Well, no, but
it's on there. It's on the world. I think it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. The actual quiz show is on YouTube, so you can go and watch it.
Okay, cool.
You're in that this week, aren't you? Is it Thursday, Maundy Thursday, or Wednesday? No, Wednesday.
So this Wednesday, it's going to be me and long-term rival and friend Omar Ibrahim. We will be teaming together to take on, hopefully, not another injured Simon Miller and Roy Johnson in the second round or the semi-final, whichever you want to phrase it. I don't know how it's going to go because a lot of people learn about wrestling through Simon Miller's videos. So how much retention does Simon Miller have? And then your semi-final match, you and Ian Lovelace, and you're going to be against.
Rex
Oh my God, I forgot.
Armstrong
Yes, of
and
course, two
and
good
Jay.
eggs.
Yeah,
Jada,
yeah.
yeah, going to be hilarious. Can't wait. So
Oh,
maybe.
I didn't realise we'd take them on. I did watch the show last Thursday, and I was in the comments and I was typing stuff. And Stefan, you did say team won twice.
I agree. The video ref says it. I mean, it's live. We're live, pal. Like this happens.
Yeah.
But it could mean that in the final, could be me and you.
It could be us. It could be us. I mean, you're not used to doing the job. I am. So, you know.
We might need a ref, Charlie. We might need a ref for this one.
Need a ref, or if you offer me as much money as you did for the BCW championship, I may swing things your way.
That was a good day. I enjoyed that.
It was. You can find that on YouTube too, where James Earls sells the BCW championship to Dow Jones after defeating.
I am the tag team championship.
Money. Have you taken the
For the
straps?
record, these are just the spare parts from the $1 million belt.
It's just like you take the straps off your belt.
Yeah, it comes in like size 58.
Wow.
Jones. So what annoys me though is that is actually my waist size on a wall. That's what really upsets me. That's how round I am.
Oh, I'm glad I got a push bike, to be quite honest, in lockdown. That has helped me out massively, particularly when Ben and Jerry's is £3 in Sainsbury's every other week.
Yeah,
I go wrong.
Yeah. So this is we are now on the end of the live stream of the Podwaggon. Don't hang up straight away, Charlie, because we've got to cut the live stream and then we can hang up afterwards. But it's goodbye from me,
and it's goodbye from him.
I don't know. From Alex. I was trying to think of a two Ronnies gag and nothing came to my head.
4 candles.
4 candles. No, pleasure. Thank you very much, gents, for having me on. Absolute pleasure.
Oh,
and I hope to see you again.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And the Podwaggon will be out either by midnight this evening or by early hours of Monday morning. Take care.